Good morning on this Wednesday, the 10th of December. You found us here on the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, broadcasting from the 13 News Now studios, serving Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. You know, each and every day at 9 o'clock, weekdays, we cover today's top weather headlines. And we've got a lot to talk about this morning. Want to jump into the headlines. It's kind of interesting. You take a look at the country. We're going to do this together here. We're going to draw a line from coast to coast right through the central part of the country. To the north, there is storminess. There is unsettled weather. We're talking about snow for parts of the Northeast, wind in the central and kind of intermountain west as you head out towards the Rockies, and then you've got flooding rain coming in to the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of mess just about everywhere across the northern half of the country. There's at least either been nasty weather or you're dealing with it now or you will be shortly. So active storm track to the north, while the southern half of the U.S., below this line that we'll draw, very, very quiet. And that's going to continue at least for a little bit. So again, snow, wind, and flooding. We'll show you everything we're tracking here coming up. In addition, we're going to take a look at some issues that the National Weather Service is having with staffing. Of course, there was part of the DOGE kind of layoffs. They had cut staff and done some stuff. Then they decided to bring folks back, but it's taking a little more time than they thought it would to get folks back, and we'll explain kind of where they are with their staffing issues. We're also going to take a look at some lessons learned from California wildfires. So a lot to talk about there. Of course, it was a terrible wildfire season out in California, a lot of issues, but there was one fire out there, the TCU fire, that they studied and learned some interesting things about how that developed. And, you know, kind of interesting when you've got multiple little fires going at once, kind of different from some of the larger fires that they get. So some lessons learned out west. And then more cold coming for the mid-Atlantic. Temperatures have been below average. I mean, we've had months of cooler than average temperatures when you look at everything, with those occasional upswings, those warmer days. Well, we're getting a little bump in temperatures today, but we're still below average. And then some more significant cold air getting pushed down into the mid-Atlantic, and for parts of the Northeast, it will be cold as well. I'm also tracking 2 clipper systems over the coming week, and there is more opportunity for snow across parts of our region. So if you are watching from here in Hampton Roads, obviously we cover a lot of national and sometimes international stories here on the Weather Desk, but I am going to focus on these 2 clipper systems and how they could bring maybe some more snow to parts of the mid-Atlantic region. So we'll break all of that down for you. We're going to start off, though, with this national picture, and you can see there is snow back across parts of the Northeast. We'll take a much closer look. Rain in the Ohio River Valley. And then we've got some more unsettled weather out to the west. So I said, you know, let's go ahead and draw that line. Here it is. And we'll do it from the San Francisco Bay all the way across the country to right here in Hampton Roads. And basically north of that line, now we're seeing a few showers starting to push into southern Kentucky, but it's been these areas north of this line that have been dealing with unsettled weather. So you've had these storm systems roll into the northwest, a lot of flooding rain up that way, some fast moving systems racing eastward, and this is dragging a front that is going to cool us down here in Hampton Roads again tomorrow. Out ahead of it, we're getting a surge of warmer weather, but look at how quiet it is for the southeast, down across Texas and the southwest, Southern California, all looking really good in the southern half of the country. Just a few showers just south of the Keys, but basically if you are south of that line, bisecting the country, you've been enjoying some pretty nice weather. All right, we are going to focus on all of this. We're going to start off up in the Northeast. I mentioned the snow that is developing out ahead of this system that is moving to the east, and the snow is widespread over New York State. You can see not only the central and eastern portions of New York State into upstate, but back across the western parts of the area out towards Buffalo, Toronto seeing some snow as well up into Canada there. We've got snow across portions of Pennsylvania, a little bit in eastern PA, but there's a lot more for north central and northwestern Pennsylvania, and then some rain there as you go farther to the south into the southwest part of the Keystone State. Around Cleveland, snow to the east, rain to the west, and some snow kind of mixing back in with some of the rain across Ohio. Snow pretty heavy there, not far from Detroit and areas just off to the north. But look at the snow right now around Buffalo coming down pretty heavily. We're seeing some in Syracuse as well, back over towards Albany. They're just on the edge. They're about to get hit with more. Watertown, seeing that snow up that way as well. Now, Erie, Pennsylvania, snow there. You get to Cleveland, you've got that rain again to the north and to the west with the snow heavier to the east and south of Cleveland. Columbus is looking at showers as we head back across portions of Chicago, seeing some flurries, basically northern sections of Chicagoland up into Wisconsin. And then again, the lower peninsula of Michigan, seeing some snow flying there. Back across the central U.S., you can see it's pretty quiet right now, but they've been dealing with some snow across the Dakotas as well. They've been digging out just like we have here in western parts of our viewing area. Of course, we got our heavier snow on Monday, but this active storm track has left folks up in the north central U.S. digging out as well. So let's take a look at some of the folks up in the southern part of South Dakota. Again, system blanketed Sioux Falls, a bunch of snow earlier this week. Now some of it is melting and they're still digging out from it. That region is now under the wind advisories and wind warnings, and we're going to talk about that next. So not only snow, but some strong winds on the heels of it. You know, that makes it more difficult to deal with it when you get that drifting and blowing snow. And again, it has been a little warmer just within the last 24 hours or so. Now they're getting more cold air kind of curling in on the backside of that system. Let's bring up the wind advisories and warnings, and you can see again just off to the south of Sioux Falls now that wind advisory has shifted. Still some wind warnings across central parts of Iowa, but the wind advisories northern Missouri, central Illinois, southern Iowa, and back towards Omaha and the southeast part of Nebraska. This is the next area I want to talk to you about. We're going to zoom in, and you can see from Casper, Wyoming through Rawlins out towards Rock Springs, Cheyenne, all under high wind warnings. And this extends down to the western side of Denver and the northern part of the foothills in Colorado. And they're trying to just hang on to their hats and not get blown away. The National Weather Service has this high wind warning for the Front Range Mountains. Again, this is the northern foothills and those western suburbs of Denver. You can see the video here, the plastic whipping around. You've got tumbling tumbleweeds, and again, a lot of that dirt kicking up. Winds expected to gust between 40 and 80 miles per hour, and obviously dangers include flying debris. You just saw some of that plastic kind of blowing around, but reduced visibilities due to dust that gets kicked up and damage to structures, down power lines, even overturned vehicles when you get some of those higher wind gusts over 80 miles an hour. This warning is going to run through today and until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. So a lot of wind there for the northern foothills there in Colorado and then back up into Wyoming. All right, we also want to talk about all of this rain coming into the northwest. You take a look here, and there is rain and snow once you get up into those higher elevations into Montana. You can see Great Falls, such amazing country out there, so beautiful. The northern Rockies, Missoula, seeing some rain and then the snow for the higher elevations. And if you look here, I'll just share with you something. If you look and you see some of these fragmented lines here going out with the radar, that's because the radar sweep is blocked by some of the mountain peaks. That's one of the things that we notice. You take a look here in Seattle and you see some of these areas where there's like some kind of funky breaks in the radar. A lot of times when you get into the mountainous country, you know, the radar beam can't shoot through the mountains. It can only look at things at a higher tilt. So what happens is when they have the tilt going around, it's doing some of those lower scans, some of the mountain peaks actually block the radar a little bit, which makes it more challenging for meteorologists. I used to work out in Salt Lake City, and when they had first installed the old 88D, the old 88 Doppler radars. And again, we had some blind spots there. We had to rely on other radars from outside. And you really look at the full network. But that's what's going on when you look at some of these kind of interesting returns. Now, the one thing the radars are absolutely picking up, a lot of moisture streaming in to the northwest. And if you think about it, we talk about the atmospheric river. It is just continuing to bring in a bunch of moisture and more rain. You see the clouds here out to the west. It's just like a fire hose, again, shooting that water closer to the northwest and eventually into the northwest. You might be wondering why you're only seeing the precipitation out to here. Remember, that's the extent of the radar. Farther out, if we had radars out here, you'd be seeing more out here as well. But this moisture, again, coming in to the northwest, and there's more to go. So let's talk about this with the Pacific Northwest, dealing with this atmospheric river. Parts of Washington State and Oregon are literally underwater. Take a look at this flooding about 30 minutes east of Seattle. You can see heavy rain submerged homes in Falls City and washed out several roads. A few drivers in Seattle even got stuck and had to be rescued. Drew Mickelson has a closer look.
Morning commute interrupted.
Not a very wise thing to do.
The storm turned this I-5 overpass into a bridge over the suddenly swollen Newaukum River. 5 cars got stuck, including a commercial semi. Everyone, though, made it out safely.
They had to break a window to get the guy out of that car.
Napa Vines police chief says floods are nothing new for his town, but these drivers got a refresher course on the dangers of high water.
You don't know how deep it is, you don't know how swift it is, and this is what happens. You get stuck there, and then it's a situation that you can't control.
At the same time, rescuers from Lewis County's Fire District 5 and the Sheriff's Office were called out to homes on nearby Hamilton Road. Boats and a retired military vehicle rescued 7 people and several pets from the neighborhood, surrounded by the Newaukum River. Getting in and out all day was tricky, even for those in high pickups.
Probably not the brightest idea, but we heard that it was getting pretty close to the house there, so we had to go and make sure nothing was getting ruined or nothing we could do to salvage stuff.
Chris Powell's home on Hamilton is getting renovated, so they weren't there overnight. He came back to a surprise.
Yeah, it can sneak up pretty good because when we left here last night at dark, it wasn't even cresting the river, and this morning it's like this, so it's kind of hard to tell how fast it's going to rise.
I think we got a little bit more to come, understandably.
Since we are not out of the woods, first responders are bracing for a busy week.
We're at the mercy of Mother Nature like always, so we just got to wait and see.
So just north of Seattle, farmers didn't want to start evacuating their livestock due to the rising Snohomish and Skyhomish rivers. Let's take a look. The evergreen state there, the fairgrounds, we're going to visit that next, has turned into a safe haven for those animals. Those stalls are now home to more than 40 horses and 40 cattle. And we're told there's room for more than 400. One woman who helped with the evacuation says, while the process can be stressful for the animals, it's better to be safe than sorry.
All these horses, these new surroundings, all the different noises and smells, their whole herd isn't with them. Anxiety causing, it's not safe. They don't feel safe. Better to be fools and do all the work and not have needed it than to be the fools who thought we didn't need it and really were in a lot of trouble.
And it's not just those livestock that are sheltering at the fairgrounds. The Red Cross is also allowing people to stay there until it's safe for them to return home. All right, we're going to stay in Snohomish County and talk about a close call for a couple of campers. Check this out in Gold Bar. This drone video was from the county sheriff's office, shows rescue crews pulling those campers out of a tent by the Skyhomish River on Monday. Deputies used the drone to guide the rescue crews to the campers by boat. One of the campers had to be taken to a hospital for evaluation, but they are expected to be okay. The sheriff's office says the campers thought they were set up high enough to be safe, but quickly found out they were not. Again, this system has been something else, dumping a lot of rain, not only in the Seattle area, but down into Oregon. We said we'd take you down there. Check it out. This is a look at the flooding in Portland. A downpour washed out several roads and caused major ponding on others. Several neighborhoods in the southeast part of the city were also on high alert after Johnson Creek reached a peak of 30 feet. That's the highest level recorded since 2017. Meanwhile, on the coast, the Trask River in Tillamook overflowed onto neighboring farmland. That's about 2 hours or so west of Portland. The National Weather Service says the Trask River hit almost 17 feet Tuesday afternoon. Compare that to regular conditions, which is usually around 10 feet or so, so a good 7 feet above flood stage. Pretty incredible there. All right, we're going to take a very short break, about 2 minutes. When we come back, we're going to talk about why the National Weather Service is raising concerns ahead of the winter storm season, and it has to do with staffing. We'll talk about that. And we have some lessons that we've learned from the California wildfires. That, and I'll show you the 2 clippers that I'm tracking headed back this way into the Mid-Atlantic. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're looking nationally here. You can see some of the snow and rain across the northwest. We've got snow in the northeast, a lot going on. And you know, the folks keeping an eye on all of this, the National Weather Service. Well, it turns out the National Weather Service is working to hire back hundreds of positions laid off or otherwise cut by the Trump administration. But the process has been slow, which is cause for concern as the winter season begins. Now, you may remember roughly 550 positions were cut by the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, earlier this year. The agency later received permission in July to add a total of 450. But so far, only about 80 final job offers have been accepted. The decision to authorize new hires follows concerns from lawmakers and citizens about how National Weather Service cuts could impact public safety. So we'll see. Continue to watch that and keep you updated. We're also going to turn our attention back to the West Coast. And again, the wildfires this season were something else over the summer. California Fire is now reviewing how it handled the TCU lightning fire back in September. Now, you may remember lightning sparked more than 150 fires in Tuolumne County, which is, that all took place within about 2 days. Brad Halbleib has more.
It was almost like the wrath of God was coming down. 26,000 lightning strikes in just 2 days, sparking 157 fires across California. That's what firefighters were faced in early September when a fast-moving fire burned through homes, including the town of Chinese Camp in Tuolumne County. Now, more than 3 months later, CAL FIRE is laying out a detailed timeline of what happened and their response.
The fire hit hard.
The day before the fires, the National Weather Service warned of valley heat, dry fuels, and a slight chance of thunderstorms. Fires started popping up across Tuolumne, Calaveras, San Joaquin, and Stanislaus counties in different fuel types and terrain, making it nearly impossible to attack them all at once.
The thing that really struck, I think, a lot of people was the volume of lightning strikes, the volume of resources that were involved up and down the Central Valley.
The most notable, the 6.5 fire and the 2.7 Murphy's fire both started around the same time and spread quickly. The 6.5 fire alone grew to more than 7,000 acres and at one point was labeled no divert, meaning aircraft could not be used. One volunteer fire captain in Chinese Camp spent 40 straight hours on a water tender, battling flames and heavy smoke.
When I was driving through there, I couldn't see the road. It was so intense.
CAL FIRE says they faced a number of challenges: limited resources, rapid fire near homes, and a second round of thunderstorms, producing erratic and dangerous winds. When asked about what they could have done differently, CAL FIRE said that the weather was an anomaly, but communication could always be improved.
I'm not sure we can plan for a once every 30-year event and have complete success like we've tried to, right? But I would say that all the measures that show on the other fires is to maintain at least what we have to support what you're saying.
And anytime there are these hardships, whatever the natural disaster is, there are always teams that review what's going on. How can we do things a little differently? What can we learn about them? That goes for hurricanes or severe weather outbreaks, and certainly in this case, wildfires. So good stuff. All right, as we take our attention now back to the radar, and I mentioned a couple of clipper systems. And when we talk about these clippers, these are fast-moving bursts of energy. This system here tracking to the north, that's not going to have much of an impact. However, there is a cold front that will push through our area later tonight, bringing about a wind shift and then much colder air here in the mid-Atlantic for tomorrow. Out ahead of it, we've got a surge of warm southwest wind, and we are going to see that going on. But this next area back here in Montana, some of this energy will spill to the south, and there's another one on the heels of that. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about that potential for the clipper systems over the next few days. So what we're going to do right now, we've got the radar indicating that precip out there. Again, that's associated with the front that'll come on through, but you'll notice how most of that moisture hung up back over the mountains. Now here's the first of the two clippers coming through. This is Friday, 6 a.m. Notice Hampton Roads, specifically Northeast North Carolina, Southeast Virginia, and really up through D.C., Baltimore, over to Delaware, New Jersey. We're still in pretty good shape there through the morning. This quick clipper system is going to actually leave most of the snow there back over the mountains. You can see how it tries to turn the corner. This energy comes through. But in this case, with the GFS, doesn't really produce much. This is through 6 p.m. on Friday, and then as we go through the overnight, kind of slides off to the east. So the GFS isn't going too crazy with the first one. I'm going to show you the Euro in just a second, but that's what the GFS does with the first one. Then on the heels of that, we get a second clipper, this one coming in Sunday. And you will notice how the GFS is producing maybe some wintry precipitation, D.C. through Baltimore over to Delaware, up into southern New Jersey, Philly area. Some snow back across West Virginia. This is early Sunday. As we go later Sunday, a few showers in our area, snow showers, maybe some mixing across parts of the area. So we will continue to watch for things to potentially go this way. This is a GFS model. Those two clippers, the one Friday, not a big deal. Sunday could be a little more problematic, maybe later Sunday here into Hampton Roads. We shall see. All right, let's take a look at the Euro. And again, that's the front coming through. Not too concerned with that. But there's the Friday clipper, and you see the Euro a little bit beefier now. The Euro saying, okay, well, you might see a little something later Friday. This is why Friday afternoon and evening we've got the mention of flurries or maybe some light snow showers, mainly to the north, but it is something that we'll want to pay attention to. Again, the GFS says, don't worry about it. the Euro says, hey, we might get something here. So again, right now, our weather team here at 13 News Now is going with about a 25% chance for some snowy weather, mainly off to the north, and it should be fairly light, but it could change. So I definitely want you to continue to stay with us for updates. You'll notice how most of that energy kind of pulls off to the north, and we're in good shape after that. 2 different models, 2 different solutions. That's for Friday. For Sunday, here comes the second clipper. So yeah, the Euro identifies that as well. The Euro does keep that snow a little farther to the north, but still brings a little bit of mix in later Sunday. So both of those models indicating something, probably some chilly rain showers mixing with some snow, maybe off to the north, possibly into Hampton Roads. And for Sunday, I've got about a 30% chance for the precipitation watching that second clipper. Again, all of this can be modified. We are still days out. We're going to continue to watch, and hopefully the models will come into full agreement. We'll get a real good look at it. I would say Sunday's chances for precip here better than Friday night's, but in both cases, we could see a little something, and that's what we've accounted for in our forecast. Rain chances here. This is a graph model outlook. You can see Friday and Sunday, both those days, with at least a chance for a few isolated either snow flurries or snow showers, and then maybe some mix or rain showers on Sunday. We'll be watching all of that carefully. All right, I want to get a quick look live outside. This is a Thompson Creek Window Company sky view at the ocean front. Doesn't look too crazy. Let's take this full. I'm going to head back over to the maps. We do have small craft advisories up for the bay and the ocean. Some of the wave action there, a little misleading. It doesn't look bad. It actually looks pretty peaceful right now, but there are some larger swells that are coming. And as we go later this afternoon, the winds are going to increase. And with those winds occasionally gusting 30 to 35 knots on the ocean, that's going to build those waves 4 to 5 feet. Occasionally, we could see a 6 or even 7 footer out there east of Virginia Beach. So small craft advisories up for the bay and the ocean. Obviously, small craft want to stay in port with those conditions becoming increasingly windy later today. Take a look at the high temperatures over the past week, and we've had a cool run. Our normal high is 56. We have been below average for the past week, and going forward, no real big warm-ups soon, although there is some indication we may warm it up a bit into the end of next week. For today and the next couple of days, we are going to see, well, today's high is going to be up upper 40s to low 50s, still below average, but a little bit warmer today than tomorrow, back into the mid-40s, Friday mid-40s. Weekend a little warmer. Saturday, in between those 2 clippers, mostly sunny, looking pretty good for us. On Sunday, a little cooler, upper 40s, with that potential for a little bit of rain or possible mix into the evening. Monday, sharply colder. You see that in the mid to upper 30s, and then back to 40 Tuesday, warming up again through Thursday. So that's the trend. Maybe as we go out over the next 10 days, 1 day above average. It's pretty crazy how cold it has been, and it continues. For today, we started off low to mid-30s near the coast. We've come up now through the low 40s. We're going to be into the mid-40s around noon, and then upper 40s to low 50s this afternoon. We will see some more clouds from time to time. Should remain dry today. I don't anticipate any flurries, but a little more cloud cover, and then those temperatures cooling down again with mainly clear skies as we head overnight. Now, the winds have not been crazy thus far. We have seen a few gusts up to 20 at Duck, 20 at Watch Creek. But as we get into the afternoon, these winds are going to gust 25 to 30 miles per hour. You can see that with our projections here. By noon, we'll see gusts around 28, 29 by 2, and 28 there at 4 o'clock. Winds coming in from the southwest. Obviously, that is going to push our temperatures up. So out ahead of this frontal boundary, we do have this surge of warmer air. Front comes through, winds will shift, and that's going to cool us down. Let's take a look at that right now with the futurecast. You'll note the winds, and again, upper 40s to low 50s through the afternoon. As we head through the overnight, skies are going to clear out the winds. There you go, the shift to the northwest, and then the cooler air settling in as we go through the day tomorrow. Now, as we get into our day Friday, you'll see the clouds increasing. There's some of that snow associated with that clipper, mainly out to the west, maybe a few flurries off to the north, but this high-res model doesn't do much with it. I'm not overly concerned at this point. Stay tuned. We'll let you know if things change. Highs today, upper 40s to low 50s across the south side, upper 40s to the north. That's the peninsula, middle peninsula, northern neck, and the eastern shore. Temperatures a little bit warmer down to the south. As we go overnight, lows near 36 officially. It will be a little cooler inland with clearing skies. 44 tomorrow. Looking ahead, 45 on Friday. Warmer Saturday. That chance for showers or mixed late Sunday, and then much colder on Monday. You know you can always stay up on the forecast when you download the 13 News Now mobile app. I want to thank you for joining us here on the Weather Desk. Let your friends know about us. We're on each and every day, 9 a.m. during the week, right here on 13 News Now Plus.